You have to clear the story to create the life. If you want a different story, you have to stop telling the old one. You have to clear the cycles to create the confidence. Of
Right.
all these cycles that you're being, it's why you don't trust yourself and why you think you're broken or not enough or too much, etc. We have to clear the patterns to create the partnerships. We want aligned, beautiful partnerships in romantic relationships, in friendships, in our business partnerships, with our family. But if we bring all the same old patterns, which you can't clear from the conscious mind, then you're not going to get those partnerships. You're just going to get more of the same.
Hi, and welcome to Don't Drink to Feed podcast. This podcast is all about you and all the courageous, driven women like you. We are here to inspire, to empower, to share, and to embrace one another. We will be talking with women from different backgrounds and careers about love, family, friendship, their wins and falls, and what it took for them to live the life they love. I am your host, Claudia Noriega-Bernstein, and I am so happy you're here today. Hi, everyone. How are you? I hope you're having an amazing day. I have Riana Malia today with me, and I don't want to say too much about her, so I'm going to welcome her and let her introduce herself, and I think you are going to enjoy this conversation very much, so stay with us.
Amazing. Thanks so much for having me, Claudia. So on the surface, I'm a board certified Neuro-Somatic practitioner, certified in evolved neurolinguistic programming, quantum time release, and advanced trauma conscious transformation coach. That's a lot of words. So that's what I do on the surface. What I really do is I work with high achieving women who have been successful in most areas of their life, except really specifically around love. So it's an interesting thing, right? So high achieving, heart-led women oftentimes have great friendships and relationships and career, and then finding that extraordinary love that's actually worthy of them, they just keep finding themselves in the same kinds of situations, so that we can actually clear all the stuff that's keeping them from receiving that, so they can finally create a relationship that's as aligned and true and extraordinary as they are.
Beautiful. And this is so true. I have a couple of clients that have gone through a lot of success in their life, and they stayed in the relationship that they were in because that was what was familiar, and then they got divorced and they thought, well, my person should be out there. I'm going to find it. It's going to be okay. And they went through dating apps. People introduced them to the perfect person, and this is going to be amazing. I know somebody, whatever. But for some reason, doesn't work. And that is kind of like an evidence for them that they're not enough, that there is something wrong with them, that I am so hard to love, that maybe I made the wrong choice. Do you see that with your clients?
Every day. Everything, all the things that you just said every day. And not only that, but then after you have that evidence once or twice or three times or whatever, pretty soon you're just clear that it's just not going to happen for you.
Right,
And
you give up.
the narrative is that I'm too much, I'm not enough, it's too late for me, I'm too old, I'm too whatever. And after a certain amount of times, you stop being able to trust yourself because you're like, I thought I knew. Look how that turned out. Most of my clients will say to me, depending on where they are in their journey, if they've been divorced for a while and had another relationship, or they've been just in multiple relationships throughout their life, they'll say, I don't know what's wrong with me that I keep ending up in the same relationship with different people over and over and over again. And there's a very specific reason that happens. It's as simple and complex as every single day we think between 65,000 and 85,000 thoughts. 90% of those thoughts are recycled, right? They're the same thoughts we thought yesterday and the day before and the week before, and in the middle of the night when we're laying there at 3:33, staring at the clock, going, what if this, what if that? But the problem with that is that 75% of those thoughts are negative. And I get a lot of pushback on that because smart women, right, are like, nope, I'm good on mindset. Like, I am so clear. I'm not going to accept this or do this. But here's the problem with that is because we don't realize that we're so focused on what we don't want. That's all we will continue to get, right? I don't want to be in another relationship where I am the mom. I don't want to be in a relationship where this person can't, be kind of my energetic financial match. I don't want to be in another relationship where I don't feel safe to trust them. I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm not adored and cherished. Even though I'm a strong, independent woman, I still want to be pampered and loved and taken care of, right? So
Right.
Problem is that the unconscious mind, just like the universe, it doesn't hear the qualifying don't. It just says,
Exactly.
here's the GPS directions you're feeding me. I'm going to keep giving you this person over and over and over.
Exactly. I am like, so I love this conversation because I do retreats, and one of the things that one of my retreats that I do once a year is about manifesting. And I explain to them, you don't get what you want, you get what you are.
Yes.
And if you are not that person that you aspire to be, you're not going to attract that person that you aspire to attract. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And I have noticed I have a friend, for example, that is going through, somebody ghosted her, and she had no idea. She's like, I don't understand. We were getting along perfect. We were intimate. We had amazing conversations. We were vulnerable. And then one day he's gone. And she's like, what's wrong with me? And I'm thinking, like, remembering the conversations. Okay, you are so afraid to being hurt. And this is not a client, this is a friend. So it's like you're so afraid to being hurt that right from the get-go, you are downloading all these things that you don't want, and how you expect to be treated, and how you are your non-negotiables. I mean, it's a little scary also for the other person, right? To hear that list of, be careful, don't mess up, because if you messed up, I'm gone, number one. And number two, you're really setting yourself up, because you're telling the universe all these things that you don't want, but in a way, you're claiming them.
Right. And I love what you said about we don't get what we want, we get who we are. So I talk a lot about frequency as well. And I use the example of, for instance, for you specifically, what's your favorite music?
Right. The radio, 100. Yes. I'm a music lover. It depends on my mood, but I love happy music.
Okay. So you love happy music. And what's your least favorite music?
I'm not very fond of rap, not too much because of the music, but because of the lyrics.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So I use this metaphor with my clients all the time. So the life and love that you want in every area is hanging out on Sirius XM 105, which is just happy, joyful music all day long. But when you're in the yuck and you're stuck and you keep experiencing these same things, you're stuck down here on station 95, which is all rap all the time. You can't turn it off. You can't turn it down. It's just blaring at you, right? Mm-hmm. And so the truth is you can't hear happy music down here on the rap station. So right. If you want to hear happy music, you have to change the frequency.
Exactly.
Hang out up there. So that is part of what I teach. I love my core values in my life and my business are love, impact, generosity, belief in what's possible, and being a magnet for miracles. And I love teaching people how to be a magnet for miracles. And a lot of it is around this work of rewiring the thought process. We have a lovely way to do in a 72-hour period, but it is the fastest way to change your physical environment.
But I think it has something to do with the conscious and unconscious mind, correct?
1000%.
Can you explain a little bit this to my audience, please?
So if you think about your body, everything from the neck up is our conscious mind, right? It is our critical faculties. It's what we know. It's what makes us successful. It's our goal setter. We use it all day long. It's 10%, which means the rest of our body, everything from the neck down, the other 90% is our unconscious mind. So if the conscious is the goal getter, if the conscious is the goal setter, the unconscious is the goal getter. It's the operating system. It's the general. It's also the literal library that everything you've ever experienced in your entire life, right? And all of that is held at a cellular level. So we think of memory being in the brain, which of course it's in the circuitry of the brain, but we know for a fact that memory is cellular. And so if you think about any time you've had significant emotional experiences with anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, etc., imagine a ribbon. Each one of those emotions has their own ribbon. And throughout your life, every time you have an experience with anger, a marble goes on that ribbon. Marble, shame, guilt, all the things. So today, something happens that makes you angry. It's not so much today. It's the 30, 40, 50, 60 years of marbles behind it, energetic charge. And that's what we get to fully release in a modality that I call quantum time release, which allows us to release all that built up negative charge that we're holding in our body in a painless, peaceful way. We're not going back into any of the events or the memories that caused the pain and trauma in the first place.
Right.
when you continue to go back into the story and over again, it just re-traumatizes. Your body fully feels it like it's happening again.
Relieving that is when people, sometimes I am in a family reunion and I hear, a cousin or whatever telling a story, and they say the story exactly the same way. They pause in the same places, they make the same comment, and it's like they are reliving that negative experience and at the same time reinforcing that memory that that's exactly how it happened. And at the end of the day, that was just a perception of that experience. Is not probably even what the other people in the room experienced, being in the same place as they were. But it's so crazy how how our mind does that to us. And so I want to ask you, how do you tap in that unconscious mind and kind of start moving those marbles? I remember that movie. Do you remember that movie, The Emotions or Feelings or whatever? There was a cartoon, a movie about emotions not long ago. Inside Out, there you go. I love that movie because it was such a clear representation of where your core memories are. How do you call it? What you just said, your unconscious mind keep track of things that happen to us. So if you're a normal person, you're not involved in the science that you are involved in, and you want to work a little bit in that healing, how do you tap into your unconscious mind?
It's a great question. So the thing is about sometimes, I'm sure that you and I have done this after our divorce and after different things, and all of your listeners and all of our clients, we do all the things we're told to do in those situations, right? We talk about it in therapy. We talk to our girlfriends. We read the books. We do the journaling. And while all of that has benefit, it doesn't actually heal you. It doesn't actually move the needle, right? It's great to work things through and get some perspective and some clarity and some awareness.
Hi, friends. I have a small favor to ask, and I'm so sorry for the interruption, but this is really, really important to me. As many of you know, Brighter Days was truly a labor of love. I wrote it for every woman who has ever questioned her worth, felt stuck, lost her direction, or needed a reminder of the strength that already lived within her. I am incredibly honored to share that I am a finalist for Author of the Year 2026. If my book, my podcast, my coaching, or anything I have shared has touched your life in any way, I would be so grateful if you vote for me. The voting link is in the description of the show. Every vote matters, and every vote helps me continue spreading this message of hope, healing, and empowerment to more women around the world. Thank you so much for being part of this journey and for believing in me. Your support means more than you know. Now, let's continue helping women remember that they never have to shrink to fit again. Thank you so much, and let's go back to the show.
But a lot of the work then stops there around the clarity and the awareness, and you don't get the skills to go with the knowledge. Because if we're going to blow out old strategy, behavior, neurology, ways of thinking, being, showing up, we have to replace it with something else, right? Because the unconscious mind can't fill in the blanks. It's why so many women will say, I have done so much work. I've been in therapy for years. I've done the EMDR. I've done the da 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 da. And then why does it life comes at you, because it always will, and bam, you're right back to that old way of being and doing and thinking, and the old stories and the narratives and the see, I told you, I'm just not lovable, etc.
It's like in a way they set themselves up. It's like, I'm going to say this relationship is not going to work. So when it doesn't work, you see, I told you, I knew it.
Right, which is the ultimate self-fulfilling prophecy, which is exactly what happens. It's so when you asked about the unconscious mind. So again, I'll use the example of like a GPS, right? So if we're telling our car, like we want to go to this spot, we give the address or the name of the thing and it takes us there. It's the exact same thing. So when we declare, when we say it out loud or in our head, this always happens to me. Like it never works out for me. Like I'm never in the right relationship. I never find the parking spot on the rainy day. So that whole victim archetype, right? That shadow part. And it's like, and again, 1,000%. I can give you so many examples of people that I'm like, I could tell you without a doubt that there's absolutely nothing that's going to go on in their life that's going to go right for them, because that's what they declare every single day. Nothing ever works out for me. That is a very specific instruction to the GPS. Unconscious mind is like a 5 to 7-year-old child. If you give it clear instructions, it will follow them. It wants to please you. If you give it vague, hazy instructions, it will misbehave, right? And the clarity around that and getting really crystal clear. So like if we look at my methodology, which is clear to create, you have to clear the story to create the life, right? If you want a different story, you have to stop telling the old one. You have to clear the cycles to create the confidence. All these cycles that you've been in all your life, it's why you don't trust yourself and why you think you're broken or not enough or too much, etc. We have to clear the patterns to create the partnerships. We want aligned, beautiful partnerships in romantic relationships, in friendships, in our business partnerships with our family. But if we bring all the same old patterns, right, which you can't clear from the conscious mind, then you're not going to get those partnerships. You're just going to get more of the same. And we have to clear the resentment to get the results. So many of our shared mutual clients in our audiences are smart, ambitious women who almost get what they want and they never quite do. And we have to clear the loss to create the love. And when we're talking about like, why do women in particular not get what they want? It's kind of like if we were going into a restaurant and we sat down and they came to take our order and we said, sure, we'll have a beverage, a protein, a salad, and a side. Thank you. And they bring us back an iced tea, a pork chop, some Brussels sprouts, and a Caesar salad. We got exactly what we ordered. But what we wanted was a glass of Chardonnay, a piece of salmon, some roasted asparagus, and an arugula salad with some figs and goat cheese, right? So the difference in that specificity and that clarity is you got exactly what you asked for. You didn't get what you wanted. So kind of a combination of all of that. And so part of the work we do around getting the clarity, so we have to get crystal clear before we can clear out all the stuff that's keeping you stuck and getting you from keeping you from what you want. But it's kind of like we create a menu together and we do a values elicitation. We look at like your top core values that without those present, it cannot be. And then we order them. And then from there, you get to make clean yes and clean no decisions. So when we're making values driven decisions, it's clean and it keeps you out of the middle, which I call the devil, which is the uncertainty and the maybe. That's where all the drama
and the fear, I'm sure.
All the fear, all the noise, and all the decision fatigue comes because when you have so much evidence that's not going to work out for you or that you're too much or you're not lovable or whatever, then, you just continue in that cycle over and over and over again. And when you don't know, then you either make decisions based on calibrating on feelings, which we don't do, which we do, but we shouldn't do, or you don't make any decision at all because you're paralyzed with all the decision fatigue. Being able to make clear yes, clear no decisions and understanding the desires, the non-negotiables, and the values and how it works together to kind of create your menu so that you're crystal clear on who you want, what you want. And in a matter of moments, you can literally look at that menu, if you will, and know in seconds if this person even gets to potentially be in your world. And again, romantic partners, friendships, business partnerships, like if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. And it makes it so easy and clean to be like, not my person, moving on. Saves months and years and decades of pain and suffering.
One thing that I like to do is, and I don't, you call it differently, clear to create. I help them create an avatar of that person. Detail of how the person look like. Yes, all the values and everything are important, your non-negotiables, but then you have clarity. This is what I want, and you don't waste anybody's time and you don't waste your time either. But what I notice is that sometimes, even if they have that clarity, they go to old patterns. So what would you advise somebody that is in this process, that has the clarity, that is very comfortable with the ideal person that they're looking for? They know that they're not going to get 10 out of 10 because there is no perfect, but hey, if I get a 7, I will be okay. So I am where I'm supposed to be. I'm healing, I'm working on myself, but for some reason, I keep going back to my old patterns. What would you tell that person?
I'd say you're clearly brilliant and emotionally intelligent. And if you could have figured it out by now on your own, you would have, right? It's not that you're not smart, capable, willing, seeking, but sometimes you can't do it on your own. You can't just replace old neurology and strategy and patterns and behavior by yourself, right? So you need some assistance around from somebody who can really help do that so that, and again, back to the key of if we don't give you the skills to go with the knowledge, So if we're going to get rid of all the stuff that's not working, we have to actually replace it.
Right.
Otherwise, again, the unconscious mind can't fill in the blank. It's why they go back to the old patterns, back to the old behavior, back to that, like, you get triggered by something and you're back to being that 14-year-old insecure little girl who had her heart broken or whatever it is. And so it's really about being able to access resources and people and coaches and practitioners that can actually help you not only get rid of the stuff that's not working, but replace it with the stuff that will serve you. Because again, if you don't replace that, you just end up in this awful cycle of more of the same. It's like, great, now that
you have that space for that feeling, so that space doesn't have anything else to be filled in with, so it's going to go back to that old pattern.
1000%, right? Because it's like, okay, great, now I know I have the awareness and the clarity, but what the heck do I do with it? And that's that next piece, right? You're clear, like you are clear now, you're crystal clear on who you are, what you want, who this person is that you want to call into your life. But now we have to, again, replace all that old neurology, and so that you can create the life and the love, but then you can also step in and claim it and really own it and live from it and lead from it, and just really be able to step into that place of falling in love with yourself again and confidently holding boundaries and trusting yourself and expertly communicating your needs, which then allows you to really deepen the richness in every single one of your relationships.
And I think that you totally nail it when you say yourself, because it starts with yourself. The love, the forgiving, the acceptance, the worthiness, the enoughness, all that starts with yourself. It's like if you have a good product, then it's easier to sell. But if you don't believe in that product, that's where how you're showing up. So even if your person, that avatar, that ideal, clear to create partner that you imagine and want for yourself is in front of you, he's not going to feel attracted to you because you haven't done your work.
Exactly. I always tell people, they're like, well, are you going to help me find my person? I'm like, I'm not a matchmaker. I'm the person you come to after you've done all the other work, before you go to the matchmaker or the dating apps or the whatever, because we're going to get you ready to be the woman who can attract and receive that extraordinary love that's actually worthy of you, rather than more of like, well, I'll just make myself into this box and I'll let that red flag be okay, and I'll compromise this thing that I feel is really important to me because what if nobody else comes along and loves me? So like you said, we get rid of all that stuff that's keeping you in these same situations so that you're ready. You're on that happy music station when the love of your life is presented to you and delivered to you, just like when we order a meal and we just trust that when it's ready, it's going to come out of the kitchen. We're not going to go in the kitchen every 5 minutes and ask them if they've triple washed the arugula.
Right.
What temperature are you cooking my salmon at? Of course not, right? So we know, we place the order, it's going to be delivered to us when it's ready. And it's the same thing with this, but we have to be ready.
Right.
Place
If
the
not,
order.
it's like going to McDonald's and asking for filet mignon.
Yes.
It's not going to be delivered.
That's
You
right.
know, you have a place that serve food, they have the meat, but it's not the meat that you want. So figure it out first.
That's
I
right.
love this. So tell me, where can people find you?
Of course. So I'm on all the socials at Riana Malia, my website, rianamalia.com. And also, I would love to offer this to your listeners. Over the last year or so, we've created a really incredible diagnostic, ELLI. So it's the Extraordinary Love Index. And it's a diagnostic it's 40 questions. And what it does is it looks at 9 areas that impact what could be standing between you and extraordinary love. And again, starts with self-love. But we look at your impact score and your trauma score and how you communicate and all of these different pieces. So in those 40 questions, you then I will send you a 28-page customized report that shows you where you are in all of those places, what it might feel like to you, what the cost is of staying there, and what you can do right now to start moving yourself out of it. So the Ellie, I would love to gift your audience access.
I love that. And absolutely, I would have it in the description of the show. And I also want you to know that every week I have a newsletter and I feature the podcast of the week in the newsletter. And if you have a book, I feature the book. So I will be so happy to share that with my audience so they can go look for you and learn, because it's so important to get to know ourselves first, because oftentimes we get downloads and we get domestication from our past generations, and we think that what we need to look for is what they think we need to look for, and it's not what we want. So we end up with a partner that might be great in paper, but it's not capable to give us the happiness that we're looking for. So I think finding out who we are and going really deep into the traumas, into the bad emotions, into every piece of evidence that we have that tell us that we're not enough, and have a clear canvas to create the masterpiece that we deserve. It's incredible. So I think you're doing an amazing job, and I love to learn about that, and I am going to do that.
Yeah.
Just to find out some more things about myself, because I think that healing is a journey. It's not a 3 month contract that you have with a therapist or with a coach. It's a constant growing and a constant getting curious about the signs that you see every day. Why I like this now and I didn't like it before. What was my belief then and what is my belief now? So I really love what you do. Your quantum pattern protocol that you have created, I recommend it to everyone to go and check it out. And if they are in that fork in the road, that they have everything they thought they wanted, but they still feel that they're meant for more, get curious. You might be missing something.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being in the show. I so much appreciate you, Riana. And we're definitely going to be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.